All right, guys, welcome back. We've got in the studio a very special guest today. We'll get to know him here in a minute, so if you wouldn't mind just kind of sitting tight.
Yeah, just hold on a second. Don't say anything.
Yeah, don't say anything. Don't mess up our intro, please. Kurt, what do we got going on this week?
We're going to be having camp meeting. Starts on Friday night. We're going to have a great time. It goes through Sunday. Preachers, you can check it out. All the information next Tuesday, yeah. All the information's on Instagram at FBCNLR.
Yeah, on our website as well. You got to get your tickets.
Yeah, register.
Yeah, and Sunday is Pentecost Sunday as well, so it's
the holiday of the church.
Yeah, the devil's getting a shin kicking this weekend.
Yeah.
Shout out to Merino Customs. Use code Colton 10. We figured that out.
Colton 10?
Yeah, we're trying to get it up to 20
sales.
20 people this week. So
if you can, they have many colors, custom.
Yeah, I'm using an extension right now. Yeah. Shout out Merino.
Mine's not in here.
And then also, if you want some of this fire merchandise right here, this locked in sweatshirt, this Convo sweatshirt, go to the convokc.com. Go get your very own. Well, without further ado, let's go ahead and get to this show here with our guest.
All right, let's hit it.
Welcome to the Convo with Kurt and Colton, where we talk about music, life, and reality.
I'm Kurt.
And I'm Colton.
And this is the Convo. All right, welcome back.
Yeah.
To this week's episode.
We're gearing up for a very special week this week. We've got Arkansas International Camp Meeting.
June 3rd through 7th, 2022.
I think this is Dave's first. Is it your first official camp meeting?
As a member. It's inaugural.
I think so. Yeah.
What's it feel like?
You were at the recording in 2018, though, because you directed, sang Frontline.
I did have the opportunity to be a part of that. That was amazing. Not my first camp meeting, but official first camp meeting. That's right.
Official first camp meeting.
Yeah, it feels amazing.
That's a big difference.
I'm learning that. It's a lot. There's a lot more work when it's official.
That's true.
That's what I'm learning.
You got not as much fun and no gift basket. It's not the same.
Yeah.
So can you real quick tell us who you are and what you do full-time professionally and what you do for your church unprofessionally?
Sure. My name is David Howell. I work full-time for JP Morgan Chase Bank. 17 years. Still can't believe that. Unprofessionally, I feel like I do a lot of things very unprofessionally, but specific to the church, I try to help on the music team as long as you guys will have me and let me. So far, excuse me, I've had the opportunity to help with the choir, work vocals a little bit, and play pinch hitter here and there.
Played keys, played organ.
Keys, yeah.
Just haven't preached yet.
Well, I mean, we're working on it. I have several messages in the hopper.
I've seen you've been spending more time with Bishop. Are you trying to move your way into the platform? Or?
I'm just trying to soak it in. I'm just trying to, whatever I can soak in from his ambiance, that's what I'm going to do.
We're actually excited about you being here because we feel like you being on our Convo is going to like open us up to a whole new audience.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, first-timers.
First-timers.
Maybe so.
Yes.
I do have a large family.
You do.
That's true. That's a good one. So when you work with the choir frontline for the first time, where do you start? I mean, you walked in here, you had worked with our choir before in the past, but coming in, being here from the church, or even when you travel, you approach a choir frontline for the first time, where do you start with them?
Well, I guess I should back up and say thank you to both of you for having me. That's very kind of you to ask me to be on the podcast.
It's our honor.
So it's great to be here. This room is freezing, but you guys were kind enough to bring me a Convo sweatshirt.
Yeah. Erica will be.
They might have forced me, just for what it's worth. I might be trapped in an undisclosed location and forced to wear this, but I'm warm, so I'm good. No, thank you in all seriousness. I appreciate you having me.
Thanks for being here.
I think to answer your question, for me, it depends on what are you being asked to do. So, for example, if it's at a meeting where you know what you're trying to do is deliver on what they're asking you to help with from a set list standpoint or whatever for the meeting, that's very different than going into a church and trying to work with a vocal team or a choir to get better at how they listen or how they sing dynamically. Mm-hmm. I'm sure it's the exact same from a music standpoint. So it's not an evasive answer. It just really depends on what you're being asked to do. And I think that's probably the starting point for me. Different from maybe several years ago, the first opportunity or two that I had to go do things. I don't know that I paid enough attention to that part up front. I just thought the job was go teach people how to sing songs I like. And that's absolutely not the job. So getting a really good understanding up front of what someone's asking you to do has helped me a lot. I feel like at least leave people, I hope, feeling like they want you to come back.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure the first couple ended up that way.
That'll help somebody because a lot of times, a lot of people get called in to do an event or teach a clinic and they push their personal agenda instead of solving the problem that the person brought you into. And then when you start getting uninvited.
Right. And when you leave, the problem's still there.
Yeah.
Like you just temporarily fixed it.
Yeah.
It's so true. And I mean, you leave, they don't do the songs that you taught them.
And they can't do it.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And oftentimes, I mean, you guys know this, you travel around and help in the same way, but it's interesting because if you're asked to come in to help specifically for church, like a local church, it could be the pastor with one idea of what they want you to do.
Yep.
In some cases, the pastor's wife that may play a role, the music director, the choir director, and they all have different things. And frankly, there are times when they're just at odds, not as people as much as it just is, what they want from it. And that's interesting. That's probably the bulk. I think that's probably the bulk of what gets in the way a lot of times in music departments is just not really understanding
messaging,
communication,
and who's deciding things, all of that.
So if that was the case, if the pastor wanted you to do something, the pastor's wife wanted you to do a different thing, the minister of music wanted you to do something, who would you listen to? Oh,
of course, the pastor. Okay. Well, you're saying if the pastor and their wife were not, I would just ask the pastor's wife in front of the pastor at dinner. Now, what was it again that you said that you wanted me to do? That would he would change quickly.
Yeah,
I remember one time I asked Kurt, I said, Kurt, if pastor asked you to do one thing and bishop asked you to do something else, who do you listen to? And he just texted back and said, yes. I was like, well said.
Yeah. All right. So when you first moved to Little Rock, moved here, what was your initial impression of our music department?
That's a tough question for me to answer because honestly, I have had an opportunity to work with or in and around you guys for quite some time. I feel like not even before 2018. I feel like the first time I had a chance to do anything here was maybe a couple years before that at camp meeting. There was I think a song or something I was asked to help with. And then I've known both of you. So I don't know. I feel like you and I have talked a lot through the years since you've been here. And I knew you can see the difference and just tell, as a complete music body that excellence is at a different level. I knew that coming in. And so that part wasn't surprising to me. I don't want to disappoint with my answer on this one. I already expected that part. It wasn't as though it wasn't here at all. I expected to see that. I think the number of people is one of the things that I don't know that I understood before. There's a lot that goes into the music department here and a lot of, for me, I still feel very new as a part of all of it. And I think even things as simple as typical songs that are part of a set list or have been part of set lists for quite some time here, many of them are still new to me. They're just not songs I've done, but maybe I've heard them, but I've never done them. So every week it feels like I'm learning 3 or 4 new songs, legit learning them to try to understand them. And I think pushing each other towards excellence, that's been something that I've seen that I didn't know that I've seen before. I don't know that I've seen that before.
Yeah.
It's a good team camaraderie.
Yeah, it's a real thing. Me playing with Colton, I think every week makes me play better because I know, he's probably the best guitar player in Pentecost, right? So
agreed.
So you have to not only be up on your stuff, but you have to be ahead of the game, really, because you don't want him to be like better than you.
Yeah.
That's funny. You know what? But that's a very interesting point.
But I mean, it's a friendly.
No, totally.
Yeah, but that's kind of how it is with the whole band, though, because you don't know which person put the time in. So I mean, it could be Tate being like, I mean, you don't want Tate being like, oh,
actually,
that's a dominant 7.
Josh came to rehearsal tonight, and I was like, oh, Josh came to play to rehearsal tonight.
He was like back on aux for the first time in a while, bro. He was fired up.
Yeah. He was on time. That you knew that he was serious.
Yeah, he was there before me, actually, right.
So that's a very interesting point, though. I will say that's something that I unexpected. I don't know. I just didn't think about it. I had the opportunity to share this maybe 2 months ago at a music clinic thing that I went to do. You see in a lot of apostolic churches where musicians learn how to play until they get to play in church, and then they've arrived. I don't know that they conscientiously think of it that way. They just don't strive to learn more and to grow more. And that was sort of the subject at hand. But one of the things that I have definitely seen since I've been here is Colton, I think, is the first guy at rehearsal. Almost every single rehearsal that I've been at.
Besides
Kurt is here like all the time. I don't know when Kurt's not here working on music stuff. And I guess the point I'm trying to make with it is, if you two are still the first people to walk in rehearsal and are still applying yourself with every brand new song as though it were the first song you learned to play in church, what kind of statement does that send, or what kind of message does that send to any aspiring musician that really is serious about wanting to do well? It's not about stopping. It's about saying, how full can you get? What is your capacity to learn and grow?
Yeah. The way I look at that is, like, if you want to hold yourself like to a really good level like that, like, you have to do that every week, not once a year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you don't want to be caught off guard, especially when people can tune in and watch you 3 times a week. You don't want them to tune in that one time and be like,
yeah, you had off.
This dude's overhyped. Yeah. Like, this dude sounds like trash.
Yeah. That makes sense. I think too that, people are, I know I've certainly been guilty of this, inclined to rely on your ability, knowing that I can show up, I can play that song, and I'm going to be fine. Like, most people will never know that I missed 4 chords somewhere. That's the easy thing to do. It's certainly not in keeping with the spirit of excellence. And I find myself, challenging myself to stick to that, to really apply and live up to what I'm supposed to be. More so. Thanks for doing that, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Now I just feel like I'm lacking. I appreciate it.
No, you're doing great.
Yeah,
That's why
you're the best choir director we've had in a while.
It's been since the 70s.
70s, yeah.
If you hear something in the background right now, that's the next generation, and they're shedding.
Yeah.
That's Lucas on the drums back there.
So, Dave, let's go back. Give the audience, do you remember when you met me or Colton? How did you meet both of us?
I do.
Okay.
So it's kind of a funny story. You may not remember meeting you. So let me start with Colton, because I feel like I met Colton at Peak, and it was probably the first time I had a chance.
Like 90% of the guests on this show have met Colton at Peak.
Right. Well, this is back before he shaved. This would have been like
okay. I see what you mean. I was like, you had a beard at Peak?
I mean, who would know?
Yeah.
But
so that means I was younger than 22.
Probably, yeah. No, I think it was 2015, maybe 2016.
Yeah, I was
right in there.
I was there then.
It would have been my first year being there, and I don't remember. I think it was just that night after service. I had a chance to sing a song at altar service. Anyway, long and short, I think that's where I met you. And I feel like I introduced the two of you. I'm like 99% sure about this. It was also at Peak. Fast forward maybe 3 years later.
You were playing organ.
And I distinctly remember after church, I'm like, Colton?
Yeah.
Like, no, introduce me.
I do remember that now.
I don't.
Yeah.
I
don't remember. To some degree, I feel responsible for whatever this is.
Yeah.
Well, actually, he doesn't remember meeting me that night because he was the big shot. He was the big wig playing organ for altar call.
I don't remember that.
That's hilarious. For you, though.
Yeah.
Okay, let me go back to you. So, we...
No names.
Protect the innocent.
So we had some mutual friends.
Yeah.
And we were... me and a couple of other people were talking about trying to do some kind of music project, a choir vocal thing, as in a recording. And they knew you, and I'd never met you. Never done anything in and around the recording space at all. Had no exposure to it whatsoever. But anyway, the first time I met you was via a phone call, I think a conference call with the three of us. And Yeah, you were just very quiet.
Yeah.
You were very
Probably
quiet.
wasn't listening.
Yeah, I was probably on my playing Candy Crush.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. In person would have been shortly after that, I think, when we
So
connected.
I think my introduction to you was
In Indiana.
that same person showed me a video of a rehearsal that they went to at your church, saying that, man, we need to do a recording of this guy. This guy's really talented. This church really talented. I remember very clearly forest green carpet, white benches, white church furniture. I actually soon moved to Indiana for 6 months right after that.
Yeah.
And we actually, became pretty good friends. We were hanging out every weekend. I actually stayed at your house twice without you being there, very randomly. Me and Jacobet stayed at his house. They put us, I don't even know if you know this story. So he had this huge house in Indiana. Well, he had a whole in-law type suite kind of thing. It was in the attic, I guess.
No, we didn't. We don't put our in-laws in the attic.
Okay.
So it's just like a bonus room.
It was a bonus room,
yeah.
okay? Yeah. Well, he would you guys could just stay in the bonus room. Well, no joke. At nighttime, it would be 97 degrees.
That sounds like that's how he likes it. 'Cause it feels great in here right now, and he's freezing.
It was 97 degrees, and I was like, Jacobet, there's no way I'm sleeping in here. And I went and slept in Marcus's bed. And the next morning, I tried to make it back.
Had nothing.
Yeah.
And what happened?
No, I'm saying you guys weren't there. I'm just saying I made the bed.
To make the bed.
Oh, yeah,
to make it look like
sneak back to the bonus
I'm sure
room.
you guys would be wondering why would you sleeping in Marcus's miniature?
You're going to all the beds.
No, but I'll tell you what happened.
Too hard. This one's too soft. This one's just
so there's another piece to that story. So until you stayed there, we hadn't lived there that long when you came and stayed with us. You might have been the first people to come and stay. I don't know. Anyway, do you remember that there was maybe?
Okay. Were we the last?
Do you remember that on the wall?
Alpha and Omega.
Do you remember on the wall that there was a thermostat in that room?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I remember. I was visiting it every 30 seconds.
So you complained. You left. You've told this story multiple times at various churches.
Okay.
It's the thing, right? It's your go-to.
Yeah.
So I called a HVAC company to come out and look at it. They spent 2 hours digging. There's the HVAC unit was in that room, right? Mm-hmm. So they're taking wires apart, testing stuff, the wall, everything. Couldn't figure it out. So we're gonna have to come back a different day. It's 9:30 at night, and walking out, he walks past a thermostat right outside the door in the hallway. He's like, "What's that?" It's a thermostat. And yeah, that one wasn't even connected.
Okay.
They disconnected it years ago.
Okay,
and I had no idea. So for what it's worth, it cost me that you suffered.
Not worth it.
The point of that story is that you didn't believe me. You waited till another person told you that it was too hot. Yeah,
no, I called an HVAC tech.
No.
That's stepping out on faith, believing you.
So when you travel around, what's a vocal pet peeve that you have?
Yeah, so you know what? This one, it probably holds true for you guys too with music, but it's people not learning the song before they show up to rehearse.
I don't have that problem when I go around.
Okay, good for you. Well,
Everybody's
it does happen.
Ready.
It does happen, and it's, go back to why you're there. Sometimes that's part of why you're there, to try to help people see things different and understand that that's part of learning and their responsibility and all that. But yeah, that's a big pet peeve. If you have to take the time in rehearsal to literally teach somebody the words to a song, or this is how the melody goes, when they could have listened to it in their car driving to rehearsal. So that's probably one of the biggest things I see in working with a group anyway.
So I know that you mentioned earlier where you work, and I know you stay really busy. You travel because from what I understand, you cover the whole state in Memphis. How do you balance your schedule between your full-time job and then what you do here? I know that most churches, their music directors probably not on staff full-time. So how do you balance the two, communicate with the people, learn your songs and all that?
I mean, look, so I feel like the culture here has been one that's already been established where, rehearsal schedules are in place and people know that anyone involved in the team knows that we're going to rehearse before service, an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it may be. Same thing midweek service. So it's been trying to just fit into that. Look, I don't know that I have a great answer to that one. I feel like it's an ever learning thing. It's understanding. I do try to look ahead. Kurt's been great about letting us move rehearsal nights, midweek, Thursday, Friday, that type thing. If I'm going to be out of town, trying to look far enough ahead to where it's not giving people a last minute notice. Hey, we're not practicing tomorrow night. We're practicing 3 nights from now. But I don't know. I think if I can go somewhat scriptural on this one and just mention one thing that comes to my mind when you ask this question. And it's just the verse that talks about seeking first the kingdom of heaven. And I think it's easy to let life, work, everything get in the way of really giving your best from a church standpoint, from a music standpoint, when you're not full-time. That's my situation for sure. And before you know it, it's not just work, it's everything. I'm just don't feel like going to rehearsal tonight, or I wanted to exercise, which I definitely need to do more of. But yeah, no, I just think I don't know. I think it's one of those things that you have to constantly keep your mind on. Similar to what you guys were talking about with rehearsal. It's just a commitment level and deciding within yourself, like what am I doing here? What level do I really want to try to perform? And I say that, quote unquote, not perform, but
right. It's like that message Brother Booker preach. What level do you want to play? Is that what it is? Something like that.
Yeah, right. That's what I would say. I'm a work in progress. Please be patient with me. God's not through with me yet.
All right.
So when you're teaching a new song to singers, what's your process for learning the song to teach it? And then how much time does that take you from not learning it for yourself,
right,
but learning it to teach it to somebody else?
Yeah. So that's a good question. I grew up playing in church as a musician for a lot of years before ever working much with vocals. And I listened to a song completely different. And when you're listening from the lens of trying to figure out, vocally what you need to do and musically, there are some common themes, but there are songs I've listened to from a vocals perspective that if you ask me to play them, I would just be botching things up horribly, and vice versa. If I have to, work from a vocal standpoint on something I've thought through like a musician. I think the easy thing to do on a song, and I think this applies to a lot of people that are music directors, choir directors, whatever it may be, where they work with vocals. You think that the job is to listen to a song to learn the lyrics and learn the part, alto, tenor, soprano, whatever. And that's where I feel like a lot of people stop, where I've come to learn, probably the hard way, that's just the starting line. Like that's the stuff you should know before you get to rehearsal, right? That's just the given. I think I find myself now paying a lot more attention to the feel of a song. Like what's the song supposed to be doing? What type of song is it? I heard somebody very recently talk about the difference between psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, and it was a really good explanation of just the different functions that songs play. And we know that. It was just a great explanation of it. And now I find myself really starting there, listening to a song, trying to get a feel for it. And then it's all the stuff that I probably didn't pay a lick of attention to 10 years ago. Like, what's the flow? Where does it build? Where does it pull back? How are we saying the words? And small little things, dynamics, like basically is everybody doing the same thing at the same time, be it vibrato, be it starting a word, how you say a word, swelling, all that kind of stuff. That's stuff that I feel like can make a massive difference in vocally and whether a song sounds good. Golf clap, that was nice. And wow, that moved that person, right? And I don't know, I think musically, I feel like music is I feel like God created music as sort of a gateway to people's emotions.
Right.
We have a huge responsibility in what we do when we're doing it and the role that song has in a service. And anyway, so I find myself listening to probably a lot of those things besides just the parts to the song. I also try to prepare if it's going to be a rehearsal where I know it's a relatively complex song, particularly if there are people that I know will have questions. I try to anticipate all the questions before.
Do you get a lot of questions?
It just depends. It depends. I think, some people it's their way of like contributing. For other people, it's their way of being validated a little bit.
Yeah.
And there's no wrong answer with it. I think it's just understanding that person and trying to be in a place to help.
So what would your advice be to someone that's in a leadership position like yours?
So you mean from a professional standpoint or from a church standpoint?
A church standpoint.
This is going to sound extremely simple, but people matter. I think it's been a lesson I've learned the hard way. through the years, predominantly from a professional standpoint. But yeah, I think it's an honor and a privilege to lead genuinely. And I think if I find that if I can keep myself in the frame of mind where I know my job is actually to help everyone that I have the responsibility to lead in some way, it makes you think a bit different. I'm not saying I don't have my moments, and certainly not the model for what it should look like, but I do think differently now about a leadership position, particularly in a church space, than I would have 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, I think that's a learning process. I'm learning still the same thing, but I really have learned a lot since I've been here. Because like before this, I tell Pastor Nathan all the time, like before this, everyone I worked and played with in church settings were getting paid also. So it's like it's a lot different to work with somebody who's getting paid than someone who's volunteering. Like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's different to motivate them. It's also different to like chastise them when it needs to be done. So
Totally.
But I think it's very rewarding when you can figure out how to communicate people and motivate them to get what needs to be done out of them.
Okay, so you manage people daily at your full-time job. What have you learned about dealing with upset people? I mean, we see it a lot in the church. Maybe someone didn't get the solo that they did last time, et cetera. Like, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I think it's a great segue from what Kurt said a minute ago. He's talking about from a music standpoint, working with people that are paid. Well, it's the same concept when you work a full-time job and you manage people from a paycheck perspective, if you will, to then working with people at church. But I think specifically to upset people, probably the biggest thing that I've learned through the years is to listen, to genuinely listen, not to say I listened, but to seek to understand. And sometimes that may be all that it takes, just listening and owning it. So in the example you gave is someone that didn't get that solo the last time they did, letting them finish, letting them talk, not trying to explain my point of view, but really letting them get it off their chest. And then I think apologizing that it's okay to apologize that you made someone feel some way. You can't tell them to feel different. You know what I mean? You may not have made a decision differently on whether to use them, but I'm sure that it wasn't the intent to make you feel badly about that. It certainly wasn't, and be able to apologize and own that. And I just feel like that goes a long way. And then focus on what you can do. Like for that person that they want to be used more. I mean, look, we would love to have your help. we would love to have you be used in a much bigger way. When can you come to choir rehearsal and trying to reiterate that they are a part, and you want them to be a part.
Yeah, that they're needed.
That's a rejection. I mean, that's what it is. Nobody likes feeling rejected, and that's what that is.
Yeah, for sure. It's good.
So how would you tell somebody listening to become, what's some steps they can take to become a better choir director?
Can I go back to one thing real quick? On this point we just made?
Mm-hmm.
I thought about something, if you don't mind. I know.
Go ahead.
I'll talk fast. I thought about, like, from a professional standpoint, this wasn't too long after I had started managing people for a living when I almost failed completely, almost lost my job. It was just probably the worst low point for me from a career standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
I went from becoming was a branch manager and became a district manager at the time. And I thought I had all the answers. I actually did have all the answers. I knew what it took to be a great branch manager and stepping in and telling people exactly how to do the job and what it took. And technically I was correct. I had all the right answers, but nobody wanted to listen. And that was the part I failed to realize, that like your delivery, your attitude matters a lot. And I think that probably taught me the biggest lesson that I've learned from the standpoint of like working with people is just that, not to borrow from the overused saying, but I think it was maybe Maya Angelou that said people are always going to remember how you make them feel. They may not remember what you say, what you do, but people always will remember how you make them feel. And anyway, I feel like that translates very much so. People, and from a church standpoint, like everybody's a volunteer, to your point.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody's in the choir getting paid to be there.
Right.
And so it's that balance between, like, this sounds horrible, this person clearly did not listen, and they never come to rehearsal. Yeah. But like, I do love them.
Yeah.
Maybe a little less right in this moment, but I need them to know that, and then I want them there. Anyway, I'm sorry. Back to your question. How do you get someone to
how would you become a better choir director?
look? I think that one in part is simple. If you're hungry and you already recognize the need to want to be better at that, go sing in a choir where there's somebody directing the choir. That's good. You'll learn more from doing that than anything else. I mean, look. You could go to workshops. You could go to clinics. Do those sorts of things. But I think being a part of something like that is the biggest thing that has ever taught me anyway.
So speaking of
and what's the role of a choir director?
To direct the choir.
To direct but no, not just like to pull everything out of the choir and to motivate and inspire, to get people to want to be I mean, it's all that stuff. That and this. I mean, there's a bit of a theme I feel like in some of the topics that we're talking about right now, because that position it's an honor, it's a privilege to do that. It's not a position where you get to get up and tell everybody what to do. Mm-hmm. Nobody's gonna want to sing in your choir,
right?
Like, come on.
So you just mentioned that people can go to choir clinics and watch a good director to get better. Do you teach choir clinics, and are you available?
Are you available for choir?
I have taught them before. Yes, I have.
How would someone get in touch with you to book you for a choir clinic?
Oh, they probably have to ask my music director for permission first.
We want that to be a step from now on. You heard it here, people.
All right, y'all start texting Kurt.
Start texting me if you want Dave to come to your church.
So,
that's funny.
How do you get involved, or how did you get involved doing the music at Peak?
And for those who don't know, Peak is the youth conference of the WPF.
Yep, Worldwide Pentecostal Fellowship.
It's a very large meeting. It's taking place in Houston this year. Venue change.
It is.
July 20th through 22nd. Probably be upwards of 5,000 people there. So it's pretty big deal. And you're over all the music. Is that correct?
I try to be. Yeah, I think it's
good answer.
Yes.
So to answer your question, it's that same time I think I met you. The first time I ever had the opportunity to go, a friend of mine, you know him well. He's a friend of yours as well. You as well, Colton. Brother Cody Marks had asked me to come.
Oh, I thought you were talking about somebody else.
He asked me to come and sing a song. He had preached that year and asked me to sing a song for altar. And I walked in, and I think at the time I knew maybe 2 people in the building, at least at first blush. And so just met people from there. I met Sister Von DeLay. She invited me to come back the next year and did a variety of different things. Frontline, sang, directed a little bit.
Yeah. You're basically the American dream. You're the American dream. Absolutely. When it comes to Peak. You started
at the bottom, like in the mailroom.
Picking up tissues after altar.
Look, I mean it sincerely. Yeah. This is not false humility. I do mean it sincerely. I feel honored to be asked to do anything like that in any place, like not just an event like that. Yeah. It's probably the biggest thing I've ever been a part of, but I do view it as an honor. And I appreciate both of you being a part this year.
Yeah, no, we haven't told people.
Nobody knows.
No one knows.
Well, they do now.
Oh, great.
I mean, it took a lot for you to say you would be happy to oversee videography this year. Kurt.
I can't
really
wait.
appreciate it. Colton, I mean, the harp. Yeah, who would have ever thought? Who would have ever thought?
Yeah, I'm ready. I've been practicing. I could harp on and on.
No, I'm like ecstatic and thrilled to death to be partnering up with you guys, and really thankful to be able to work alongside you.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's been fun so far. So now we'll move to our rapid fire segment. So Kurt will ask you a question. You got to answer it as fast as you can. Then I'll ask you a question. So forth and so on.
Okay.
Fast, all right. Favorite restaurant in Little Rock?
Cinnamon Cream.
Go-to coffee order?
Americano. Like tall, black, no sugar.
What do you miss about Indianapolis?
I mean, like people, of course, relationships, and there's an amazing Thai restaurant there that I crave often.
Have you been to Zanga here?
No.
Thai? Okay, we'll go tomorrow. Do you have time to eat lunch tomorrow?
Yeah. No. Maybe. Are you buying?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we're down.
Sure. You want to go, Colton?
Go ahead.
All right. No, you want to go to Zanga.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Okay. Favorite vocal warm-up?
So I like to use this song. I don't do a lot of like
tricks.
Yum, 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 yum. Yum, 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 yum. Yum, 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 yum. Do it with me.
I'm guessing that your listeners never thought they would ever hear you do that.
I do that every morning.
Yeah.
No, those things I think have their place for sure, but I like to use the song. I mean, it's about warming up. It's think about it like being in a gym, you know, it's no different. Like your vocal cords are muscles, and it's just trying to get people warmed up a little bit. I do have an idea though. I have something I want to do in this like space a lot. I feel like one of the main things people struggle with singing wise is this rapid fire, isn't it? Yeah, right. Sorry. Okay, I'll stop. Never mind.
No, go
what
ahead.
do they struggle with?
No. I want to comply. I feel I need to comply.
All right, guys, you'll hear that on part 2 whenever we get to it. Just remember where you're going with that. Favorite daughter?
It depends on from what angle. Like,
which one causes you the least problems?
I would say, probably. I'm gonna get in trouble.
Yeah, you'll get in trouble. It's a trick question.
No, look, I mean, it depends on the day, it depends on the mood, it depends on, you know, who made who mad, and generally speaking, that changes several times a day.
Understood.
Whichever one
makes. What are your daughters' names?
Hang on, I'll get it in just a second.
Okay. Your son's name's Marcus.
Natalie and Nicole. Yeah, and Marcus. Mr. Marcus.
A piece of gear you'd recommend under $200.
So, I think the thing I've gotten the most use out of that would be around that price range is a Novation keyboard controller that I bought.
Yeah.
Like a base station?
Like a 49 key, just plug it in, you know, run it with Logic. And
yeah. I have a 25 key one now.
You can get a lot. I mean, throw it in a trunk. You can do all kinds of stuff.
It's so small. I can put it in a suitcase, like a carry-on.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, we appreciate your time.
Yeah, this is good.
Part 2
guys,
eventually.
thank you. Thank you for having me.
Can we get free money?
I feel
from
flattered.
Case, or
yeah, we gave you a sweatshirt. Can we get some dollars?
Hey guys, so there's a $225 coupon. Anybody that opens a checking account.
That's not real.
Yeah,
no, it's not real.
Apply it to your checking account or what?
Yeah, so
I may switch. I'm not happy with my current bank.
I just keep my money at home. So.
All of the views expressed on this episode are mine entirely and have nothing to do with JP Morgan Chase Bank.
If someone wants to open an account, where do they need to go?
Any Chase branch or your mobile app, chase.com. Do it.
Can you pay ties directly from your Chase account? Can they be automatically withheld?
I mean, absolutely. You can put on a recurring payment if you'd like.
There you
Increase
go.
it every month.
Get your Saints.
Churches, get your Saints
auto
at Chase
tie program.
Yeah.
Use the coupon code Howell15.
No.
No? Oh.
Not real.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's a wrap. Thank you.
All right. Well, go ahead.
Hope you guys enjoyed that. We greatly enjoyed that conversation with Dave.
Dave, where can everyone catch you online, social media?
So Instagram, I think it's david.r.howell.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken. I'm on Facebook.
Okay. LinkedIn.
I am on LinkedIn.
If someone wants to apply for a job.
Yeah, what about someone in the Bentonville, or Little Rock, or Memphis area?
Yeah.
Should they reach out to you on LinkedIn? Or
Sure, why not? Absolutely. We'd love to talk to you.
Okay.
Yep, LinkedIn would be fine. You can find me there for sure. David Howell.
Do you have any like referral fees if someone gets hired that
you can
be recommended?
So it all depends on how they perform after I hire them and what type of employee they end up being.
We're not interested in all that.
Yeah. So for you, I would say no.
Okay.
Just keep it very simple. Y'all make sure to join us next week. We're going to keep up with this theme of church music department development. I feel like there was some true value in this episode today with Dave. So thank you for sharing your years of experience with us. Anything else you want to add, Kurt, before you?
No, man. Shout out to Rick Green, business manager extraordinaire.
Shout out to Erica Markser. What is she technically?
I'm not sure.
Oh, she did restock the fridge.
Yeah,
so
she did.
Clear that up, so.
Yeah, she wanted us to let everybody know that she restocked the fridge.
Yeah.
Also, she actually.
Dude, I saw her do your hair before we started.
She actually told me tonight, asked me tonight if I was jealous that you two and her were doing a music conference together, and I was left out. She asked me if I was jealous.
But you keep bringing it up. She
said I can't.
There you go again.
You told both of us this 4 times.
I know. I wanted to say it on here. I wanted to remind her that I had been out of the country twice this year.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. And on that note, we'll end it. ConvoKC.com. Y'all check it out. Like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Leave a review if you're on the podcast app.
You know this will be on YouTube?
Nice.
All right. Nice knowing you.